Hello there. Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Knocks to Nuggets. My name is Oluwayomi Ute, and it's such a joy to come your way today. A big shout out to every single person that has been with me on this journey, everyone that watches live, and everyone that will watch after. I say a big thank you. Thank you for being a part of my journey. And like I will always ask, please like the video, share it, let the world out there know that there is something called Knocks to Nuggets. So it's been an interesting journey on parenting so long. We started off the month with the children telling us what parenting is from their own perspective. Did you enjoy that edition? Did you have specific takeaways from it? That was an amazing time. And last week we had a career woman and a successful one at that coming to talk to us about the challenges of a working woman. And really, it can be challenging running a career and being a full-time mother because there's nothing like part-time parenting. And I mean, she could share her journey and the systems she was able to put in place to help. But we are all not in careers. Some of us are in business, we're entrepreneurs. And as such, we want to say, well, my case is not like that. I'm not in a structured place. I couldn't manage the things that were said last week. Today, we have an entrepreneur in the house. And I want to talk to you about this person. She is she is an MD of a full-scale catering outfit, which started with a takeoff capital of about 1,000 naira in 2007. I won't tell you what she started with because if I say that, then you know who I'm talking about. She was one of the first women worldwide to benefit from the 10,000 Women Initiative sponsored by Goldman Sachs, a program set up to empower 10,000 undeserved women worldwide with formal business skills and education. Today, she's an ambassador of the 10,000 Women Initiative. She has graced numerous local and international platforms and thus become an inspiration to many. So if there's somebody to learn from, trust me, she is one. Let me tell you some of the platforms she's been on. She was a speaker at the Clinton Global Initiative in New York with world leaders in attendance and has also addressed the annual general meeting of Goldman Sachs in New York, both in 2009. In 2011, she was invited by the Prime Minister of the Republic of Turkey for the second Global Summit on Entrepreneurship to speak on the panel session titled Global Entrepreneurship Revolution. In 2013, she was one of the 3 women nominated to represent Nigeria in the Fortune 7 US State Department Global Women's Mentoring Program. The list is long. In 2014, she was invited to speak at the White House in celebration of International Women's Day in June 2016. She was also invited as a panelist at the United States of Women Conference Summit, where she spoke alongside Mr. Warren Buffett on her journey as an entrepreneur. Wow. I want to add this. She was also privileged to deliver an address at the State House dinner in Washington, D.C., where she welcomed the then First Lady of the United States of America, Mrs. Michelle Obama. She was at the World Economic Forum in Davos in January. That was when? Yes, in 2019, to talk about her journey as an entrepreneur. She's a graduate of Enterprise for Development Center, where she completed her certificate in entrepreneurial management program. She is also a graduate of the Manchester Business School, where she earned a diploma in business administration. She is popularly known as the Moi Moi Lady. Moi Moi then is bean cake here in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest this morning, you have guessed right, is the founder, MD, CEO of No Leftovers Nigeria Limited. Please join me to receive on the Knocks to Nugget platform, Ayodeji Megbope. Hey! Good to have you in the house.
Thank you for having me, my friend. Good morning. Well done. Great job.
Thank you. Wow. I'm glad I could have you in spite of your very, very busy schedule. And
I
I'm
know, right?
very mindful of that. I'm just going to go straight at it.
Yeah.
How have you coped with this very impressive CV and being a mother?
Once again, thank you so much, Yomi, for having me. And thank you for the very warm introduction. So it's been 15 years now, remember?
Mm-hmm.
15 years out of almost 30 years of marriage. So I started my business when our children were in early secondary school. And
Mm,
of course, the culture of working, the culture of being in a corporate environment helped to really give me structure to
okay.
be able to, organize myself, plan myself. And I would like to mention that another thing that helped me is the fact that, even at the start of our marriage, my husband and I had decided that come what may, we were going to work our lives and our home around not having a house help. So that helped, tremendously. We had a culture of DIY, do it yourself. So that helped. So when I was transiting into entrepreneurship, it actually was a bit easy, even though, yes, the challenges were there. But, being mindful of where the children were in terms of their ages, their education and all of that, helped me at different stages of the business, even as I became, exposed to different environments, being mindful of where they were, and also being mindful of the type of husband I have. Him being a very supportive man, him being a hands-on father, was very instrumental in me being able to navigate the murky waters of entrepreneurship at that time and even in the season I'm in now.
Hmm. Wow. Well, you said something that I want to start off from. You said talked about structure. You talked about having a vision and a clear direction for the home. Now, as a business person, it would appear to a lot of people that you have time on your hands. That, man, out of 24 hours, you can choose not to wake up till 10. You can choose to go back to bed once the children go to school. You can choose to do anything at any time. Is that true of a successful entrepreneur?
Well, you can actually choose to do all of that if you do not want to be successful. If you do
Wow.
not have a growth mindset, you can do all of
Mm,
that. But when you have a growth mindset and you are forward thinking, you will know that entrepreneurship is not a walk in the park. I
mm,
mean, it requires a lot of discipline and effort on your part. Yes, it's your business, but remember, you want to grow this business and then you have people working for you. And so you have
mm.
to show example. Guess what, Yomi? This morning, I got to my restaurant at 6:45.
Wow.
A few staff that should have resumed hadn't resumed. And then we had this last minute job that came. And so I had to deploy everybody on ground to the kitchen to support the kitchen staff. And guess what? The restaurant had to be cleaned. I had to get a broom to sweep the restaurant myself. That's what entrepreneurship is all about. Yes, you're the
Mm,
boss, but there are times when you have to get your hands dirty to get the job done because the customer is not going to take any excuses from you.
mm.
So if you have a growth mindset, you can't do that. If you have a forward thinking mindset, you can't do that.
Wow. That I'm sure for those who think time is on their hands as an entrepreneur, as a business person, you heard it from her. If you truly want to succeed, you have a lot to do. You have to roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty. Now, when you transited to business, it's at the time when the children were teenagers, and a lot of people say, oh, that's the troublesome time of their lives. That's the time you need all the attention. That's the time you need to do this and do that. And that was the time you were transiting. How did you do it?
I agree with you. Teenage years could be very, very troubling. I mean, growing up as a teenager myself was the most traumatic period. I had with my parents. They just couldn't figure me out. But you see, knowledge helps a lot, and I'm grateful to God for the knowledge that is flying here and there. Of course, everybody here knows that I'm a Christian, so the Christian aspect of it, being able to, pray about things was very, very instrumental to being able to raise these children up to become what they are now. But even at that, because I know that even some Christian parents have challenges with their children. Like I said, having a husband, don't let me even say having a supportive husband, because I want to talk to the general, I'm talking to the general public. You're not supposed to have a husband who is always
Wow. Having a very supportive husband.
to
She is
uh,
saying
uh,
that.
am I still on air?
Yes,
Am
you're
I
back.
okay? Okay, so you have to be real to the support you have. Don't compare. I had quite a lot of people around me who had different types of resources. I had the ones that had money to employ all the helps they needed. I had the friends that had 3 cars. So there's a driver attached to this child who is in this school. There's another driver attached to that child who is in that school. There were people who could afford tutors. But hey, we couldn't afford all of that. We had ourselves. So we had to build everything we had, bearing in mind that these children were a priority. That is so
Mm,
important. You have to prioritize your life. The business was important, but hello, my children, my home was important and is still important, and the children, the well-being of the children was very important. Now, Yomi, let me tell you something. The children were in boarding house when I started. But anytime we went for visiting day, we attended visiting day, we could see there was something missing. So, as a parent, you have to be very, very observant. And being observant also depends on what you have considered as priority.
mm,
Suddenly, our daughter, who you would always see always see twinkles in her eyes, no longer had those twinkles. We will go visit her in school, and she had become withdrawn. We're talking to her, a child that will look at us straight in the face and be all cheerful and bubbly was no longer bubbly. She would be acting subservient. She's looking down, and she would always be, playing with her fingers, never looked us in the eye. We knew something was wrong. So it's important, because if you don't nip things in the bud, it becomes a greater problem waiting for you. And so we noticed all of that. And guess what we did? It wasn't easy, but we withdrew these children from boarding house. We knew it was going to be difficult doing those school runs, but we said to ourselves, look, this is a priority. If this business succeeds, and these children, have issues growing up, or have issues even in the latter years of their lives, it's going to make a mess of all the success we have made in the business. So, taking steps like that, being very, very observant, being real to the resources we had. We didn't have so much money at that time, but we had the treasure of ourselves. We had the treasure of the wealth of experience we had, and the togetherness that we had as husband and wife, also our extended family, was also a very, very critical resource to raising the children. There
mm.
was a lot of support. They also had children around that, within that age range. And so bringing them up together, letting them, fellowship together, be with themselves also helped. And also it helped to instill the values that all of us had in those children.
Wow. Hmm. You are dropping very clear nuggets. I know something you said now just reminds me of the first episode we had this month with the children. And one of the children said, we don't want our parents hiding behind parenting, not to pursue their own dreams. We also want to celebrate them. We also want to say, my mother became this or my dad became that. So children also want us to live our lives to the full. But then you said something clear, balance. Yes, the business must go. Hey, children must be priority. Talking about balance and putting the children first, where is there any time you have thought you have gone on a guilt trip? Oh, I'm not there for these children, so because of that I want to just overcompensate them. If they want one candy, I give them five. If they want one this, I give them that. Did that happen, and how did you handle it?
Well, Yomi, I didn't get here by being handed over candies myself. So, I mean, I think that helped. I mean, I mean, I have a very, very firm foundation, and we're very,
Mm,
very grounded. And that is not to say that these things are not real, but honestly, I didn't have those issues because um, knowing that I was doing the best,
mm.
and knowing that the communication was there,
Wow.
communicating with our children, and also letting them know we were not pretending. We were not trying to make them feel that all was well when all was not well. They had matured and they were matured to see and to understand some challenges. I mean, there were times when I remember there was a particular term they didn't resume school with other children because we were unable to pay their fees. And we let them know, letting them know these things, especially as they become matured, is important because when they begin to face life issues themselves, they would remember that, look, facing life issues is not breaking news. It's a norm,
Mm,
So
mm,
all of that, um, you know,
mm,
eliminated that guilt feeling. There was nothing to be guilty about. It's life. And so present life to them the way it is. And let them also know that you're making an effort. You're making an effort. Let me tell you something that happened one day. Our son in particular came back from school. And he said to me, at that time, I was still cooking in the house. I had so many people working in the house. Cooking would start from around 4 o'clock. And then our son came back from school one day and said, Mom, I said, yes. He was upset. I said, what's wrong, Kay? He said, Mom, your business is embarrassing me in school. I was like, what? What did you just say? Mom, I get to school every day. And my friends tell me I'm smelling of stew. Mom. And I'm like, oh my God. So I realized that, of course, I mean, they get ready for school, they sit in the living room, and the cooking takes place in the kitchen. The kitchen is just next to the living room, and everywhere is smelling of food. And so we had a conversation with him. Oh,
mm,
yes, you're right. We did not ignore his pain. Okay, you
mm.
know what? From today, you and your sister will have breakfast in the bedroom. Have breakfast in the bedroom. At least the smell of the food does not get in there. And then when it was time for them to leave for school, I mean, you should have seen the way they usually would make a dash for the door so that the smell of the food would not linger on their clothes. So bottom line, be sincere with your children so that you don't have to. I mean, having this guilty feeling makes you do things you shouldn't do. And then you begin to give the children an entitlement mentality when
Mm.
they feel that. And guess what? They are so smart.
They
They
are.
begin to play on your intelligence. And that's danger.
Hmm. And that is danger. I like the way you landed that. But it's just something very critical. So never ignore the pain. So yes, you didn't shush him. You didn't tell
Mm,
me, my friend, if I don't do that, where will your school fees come from? Eh? I mean,
mm,
my friend,
mm.
be proud of your whatever your mother is doing. You didn't shush him. You could have done
Absolutely.
that, and you'd have
Yeah.
sounded legit. You have sounded real. Sounded bringing it home. But you didn't. You had a conversation that talks to me about communication. And you said something critical: no hypocrisy. Facing life's issue is not breaking news. I had to write that down. Let these children know that life happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
Life is
Yeah.
ups and the downs. I heard something yesterday that shocked me. The guy said failure is nothing but feedback.
Mm.
So failure is
Absolutely.
feedback that you have not learned something, you haven't mastered something. And I was like, wow. So failure is actually not that tyrant we all think it is that's about to kill us. How did you manage those little beginnings when it looked like all I'm doing is moi moi from career? How did you manage those beginnings? How did you manage it with the children? How did you manage it with your husband? How did you manage it in even with your friends?
Mine is a bit peculiar because I became strong as a result of facing the realities of my weaknesses. You
Mm,
know, I was surrounded by people like you, Yomi. I mean, I was talking to you the other day, and I said to myself, my techie friend right from the womb. I mean, I've always been surrounded by strong people, and it's been deliberate. I knew my weaknesses, and I needed to overcome those weaknesses. And one of the things I realized was that overcoming those weaknesses will be easier for me, even as I began to focus on people who were strong. So I surrounded myself with the likes of you, with the likes of Funke Amobi, strong women who from the get-go had things going for them. I mean, look at my friend Funke. I've known Funke for almost all my life. Her mother was my secondary school teacher, and my mother would taunt me with, sure, if Funke, can't you see Funke? Can't you see how well she was doing? I had the choice of not liking Funke, but I decided, I said, well, since my mother feels that this woman, this girl is strong, then she's going to be my friend by force. And so I was deliberate in surrounding myself with such people.
Mm.
And that helped me. That helped me to grow. That helped me to be strong. And so that helped me to be real also. One of the problems that I know we have is people wanting to be like people when you don't deal with the real issues of your life. And so I began to deal with those things. I was telling myself the truth, and I was surrounded by people who told me the truth. And so the failures were not big deal to me. The failures were challenges to me. And of course, being grounded in my Christian faith also helped me to see that, I mean, like that person said, failure is feedback. Failure is not also breaking news. People fail every day. Look at all the people that are successes today. They failed at one point in their lives or the other. And so I said to myself, each time I will remind myself, Ayo, you're writing your story. And you
Mm.
see, I mean, that's what it is. That is just what it is. Ayo, you're writing your story. And so the challenges haven't stopped, even though I have gotten here. I just told you what happened today. Every day, challenges come on. Last week was horrendous for me with the pressure, unexpected pressure that came. But yes, you know what? I kept facing them. I said, no, this pressure didn't swallow me 15 years ago. It didn't swallow me 10 years ago. It didn't swallow me 5 years ago. It cannot swallow me. I faced the troubles and the pressures head on. I said, bring it on. And I go to bed, wake up in the morning and say, God, thank you for another day. I'm going to win. That's the
Mm.
attitude.
Mm. I've got to win. That's the attitude. Now, let me ask you this. What many mothers want to see their children become A, B, C, D, or E. How did you help your children navigate when it comes to choosing their careers?
Hmm. You know, the world has changed. We hear of all sorts of careers that never existed in our time.
You
And
can tell me.
we're also seeing templates of people who, even though they went through mainstream academic process, abandoning those things that they went to school for and carving a niche for themselves.
Mm.
And so when a child, I mean, her son failed. Her son failed. I mean, he had issues in university. He was in Covenant University and he didn't do well in his second year. And he was told to repeat that year. I mean, it had become clear to us as parents that, look, if you do not encourage your child, support your child, when the child needs support, you're probably going to lose that child. Because I had such an experience. Thank God my parents didn't lose me. But initially, I didn't get the support that I needed. And that was because of the limitation of their knowledge. Now, we have so much knowledge. The Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. So, with the knowledge we have, we shouldn't perish. And so we supported him. He had to repeat second year. We supported him, encouraged him. This is not the end of your life. He repeated the second year. Guess what? In that repeated year, he didn't still do well enough. He was told to leave school. It was such a hard time for the family. But again, you see, there's power in foresight. When you have the nudging, there's a nudging. And that's so important. Don't ignore your nudgings. Don't ignore your, well, I'm careful. I don't want to use the word suspicion. Let's just stay with the word nudgings. Don't ignore them. So when that happened, we're like, okay, we're here for you, son. We're here for you. Yes, you've been sent out of school, but there's a way out. And look at it today. It's been almost 9 years. He's flying. He's flying. So, being able to support the children, being there for them, whatever they want to study, as long as it is legitimate, it's not a crime, it's
Mhm.
not a thing of shame.
Mm.
It is adding value in some environment or in some space, then support them because they need it.
Mm. Support them. They need it. One of the children said, I asked the question. I said, "Do you think your parents nag?" One said no. One said, "Ah, yes, but guess what? I need it. I don't know where I would have been if they are not nagging on me." How have you handled that with the children?
That's interesting. You know my husband very well. My husband is a very quiet man, very gentle, and I can actually blow the roof. But I've improved now with age. But one day our son sat the two of us down. Boys are different from girls. The girl, well, I mean, she had little or no issues. She sat us down. I mean, that was after he had, you know, passed that phase of being told to leave school, had gone to America to study, and he was doing well. He came home for Christmas and said, "Mom and Dad, I'd like to see you." And I was like, what have I done? And he looked at his dad and said, "Dad, I appreciate you. You're such a faithful father, always encouraging. I see the way you've pushed me, the way you've encouraged me. I love you, and I've come to say thank you." And Daddy said, "You're welcome." And then he turns to me. Of course, as soon as he turns to me, I'm like, and he goes, "Mother." I said, "Yes." He said, "Mother, the truth is that if I had two of you in my life, I would have run away." I said, "Okay." He said, "But I want to thank you."
Hmm.
I tell my friends that when my mother talks to you, if you're driving, if my mother talks to you, you will park that car first and you will think to yourself, you will have a conversation with yourself. Am I going in the right direction? So why have I said that? You see, I've heard that sometimes you hear, "And the children that my children and I are friends." That's a great statement. But it comes to there's a stage in their lives that you cannot be friends with them. My
Hmm.
children are in their late 20s now. We are friends, friends. But when they were in their teens, there was little or no friendship because it was a season of spoil the rod. And when I say the rod, of course, you can't be beating. I mean, in our days, you can't be beating. I mean, those days they will beat us in our teenage years, but we can't beat them now. But we had to set things. We had to set the record straight. So your personality, if the woman is the quiet one, stick to your personality. If the father is the harsh one, stick to your personality because they need that balance. Don't be
Hmm.
all out. Don't be all out for my children must like me. At the end of the day, they will, as long as your intentions are right, your parenting skills are what they should be. These children, just like you said, that child was what that child said, that my mom was nagging, but now I know. At the end of the day, they will look back and they will be thanking God for you. But where you have spoiled them, because I hear some parents, some children actually say, "Oh my God, I wish my mother was firmer. I wish my father was firmer. I wish they showed me the way." So you have to be true to yourself, true to what you know is the right thing to do as a parent. There's no shortcut, and there is no
Hmm.
pulling the wool over any child. Don't pamper a child when a child is wrong. Don't call a spade a shovel or an agricultural implement. When the child is wrong, you correct the child, address the issue. Remember, it's the issue you're addressing. Don't demoralize the child. Don't kill the spirit of the child. Let the child know it's not you. It is this matter, this thing you have done that we're addressing. And then at the end of the day, encourage the child and let the child know that what has happened does not define you. It's a bump in the road, but keep going because you will get to your destination.
Hmm. It's a bump in the road, but keep going because you will get to your destination. It says separate the child from the issue. Yeah, so you have problem with the issue, but not with the child. Hmm.
Absolutely.
Let me ask this. I was going to round up, but I think I can still one more minute. When you went traveling, because I we read your profile and you were here and there and there and there. How did you manage the home front?
Ah, you see, the foundation is critical. I've been married now for 29 years. And, all of that started so it's been 15 years of the business. You do the math. So the foundation was hard, but the foundation was needed because God knew the structure that would be put on that foundation. So because the foundation was solid, it wasn't difficult. My husband and I had deliberately bonded over those years of starting. So when it was time for me to fly, it wasn't a problem. And there were even times we did the traveling together. So and that has that continues to teach me, and that whenever troubles come, they're just foundations. Even right now, as I speak to you, I'm still seeing myself in the foundation stage of in this season of my life, because the business is still going to grow. So I want to sit back in the next 10 years and be talking about this season, be telling somebody, you know, there was a time I actually had to sweep my restaurant because this happened, because that happened. I'll tell them, like, you see this business that has gone round, that is now global, that has gone into 10 countries. This is the stage we got to, and this is how I navigated the season. So, the foundation helps. So any challenge you're going through, look at it as you laying a foundation for the mighty structure that is going to be built in your life.
Any challenge you're going through, see it as you laying the foundation. So somebody is listening to us, AY, and saying, well, I didn't hear this early. I wish I had heard it. Now, there's not much I can do. Is it too late to restart? Is it too late to correct the wrongs? Is it too late to go back and pick up these children again? Is it ever too late?
It's never late for as long as there's life in you. But you see, there's some things that, I mean, you can't, the spiritual world, the spirit governs and controls everything physical. It can be different. I like that scripture that says that with God, nothing is impossible. And we're not just here to begin to speak Christianese. This is reality. You see, because the spirit of that child, no matter how far gone that child, is still in the hands of God. And you, as a child of God, you have the power. You have the power, especially as the child is your child. You have the power to call forth that child. It will require a lot of patience, because if things have gone wrong,
Hmm. It will require a lot of patience, she's saying, because
it,
yes, when things have gone wrong, you just have to correct it. So go ahead.
it will require a lot of patience. It will require a lot of
Hmm.
wisdom. And then finally, direction from God. Because God is the one that has the winning formula. You need a winning formula. What works for you, Yomi, might not work for me. What works for me might not work for BC. So there is a winning formula for you. And it is the one that holds the ace in his hands that knows your winning formula. So the earlier you get yourself glued to God, the director of affairs of this world, the better things can still turn around, not just in the life of your child, in your own life. Remember, I started this business at 40. In your own life, anything is possible. But like I said, there is a winning formula and you have to discover it.
There is a winning formula and you have to discover it. I am going to let you go. I know your schedule, but let me take your last words before I let you run.
Last words, last words, last words. Let me start by saying thank you for having me again. And just want to encourage us. You cannot build your house with other people's building materials. That would be
Hmm.
stealing. I like to talk about resources. Be real to the resources you have. You can always build something with your immediate resources. It might not be an enviable structure, but it is a starting point. So whatever you have, don't stretch and say, I like that person's building. That's what I want. And then you abandon your own building materials.
Hmm.
Focus on what you have to start building whatever you want to build. As you focus on what you have and as you start, you'll be amazed at the help that will come. You'll be amazed at the grace that will come. You'll be amazed at the support that will come. So those are my last words because they've worked for me. Even no matter how huge the issues are, I start with what I have. If I have a bill of 10 million, and I have 500,000. I start with that and I give thanks. I mean, that's critical. Critical. You start with it, you thank God. God, I have this bill of 10 million, but I've just been able to pay 5 million. Father, I thank you. And you'll be surprised to see what God will do. So have a
Hmm.
grateful heart and start with what you have.
Have a grateful heart and start with what you have. Thank you so much, Ayo. I don't take your comment for granted in spite of your schedule. Thank you so much. And like I tell all my guests, I will come again.
Thank you, Yomi. God bless you. Well done.
Thank you. Wow, wow, wow. That was simply amazing. I'm sure you picked nuggets. I kept writing and writing and writing and writing. And the beautiful thing is that it's still available for you on YouTube. You can go back and listen to it again and again. So much nuggets. So, are you an entrepreneur? Are you there wondering, how do I balance this children, this business? Which one do I want to leave? You heard how well. Set your priorities, focus on what you have. I like that last one she said. Don't build on another person's resources. That would be stealing. That was interesting. That's true. Start with what you have and live in gratitude. And that's it for today. Next week, we're going to be another amazing edition, and you don't want to miss it. So until I come your way next week, Monday, 7:45 for another edition of Knocks to Nuggets. Remember, if you can think it, you can be it, you can have it. And as always, I never forget that together we win. God bless you. Have a fruitful week. Bye for now.